And we are back on the Yeah Coach podcast, where we encourage you to take action in life through the testimonies of others. And I have my good friend with me here today. She has been an Orangetheory coach for the past 6 months here in Lexington, Kentucky. She's done a national dance tour with Spirit Productions, and she's moved 18 times in the past 7 years. I welcome the Coach Julie. How you doing today?
Doing great. Nice to be here with you, Coach Nef.
First off, I want to say thank you for coming on here, taking your time to help share the story of what you've been through, the ups and the downs with it. I know this is going to encourage others to take action and encourage them to take that next step into what they plan on doing for their future. But my first question for you, I know you don't know what it is. You ready for it?
Yes.
What did you eat for breakfast this morning?
Oh, overnight oats. It's like clockwork. Let me tell you what. Every night I get my little Tupperware. I fill it with my oats. I get my almond milk. I get my maple syrup, or if I'm feeling spicy, some honey. I get a heaping spoonful of almond butter. I mix it all together. I have this cool little Tupperware that you can put a top on it, and that top can hold granola. So I fill that top with granola, and then I screw on the little top. I mean, it was like $1.50. I'm telling you what, spending the big bucks. And you put it in the fridge overnight, and then when you wake up, you don't have to do anything. You just open that little overnight oats and indulge. You're ready to rumble.
What? Overnight oats? You do that every night? The night before?
Almost every night. Yes, I try to give myself variety, but they're kind of addicting, so I spice it up. I know I love using that phrase, but with peanut butter sometimes, or add some Greek yogurt if I need some more protein in my diet, different kinds of granola if I want chocolate chips, whatever you're feeling.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. I might have to try that. I love oatmeal. So like the Greek yogurt is the only thing that throws me off. I'm like, the Greek yogurt.
You can omit. I don't put that in every time.
I love peanut butter in my oatmeal, though. Peanut butter is probably one of my favorite things to eat.
So
throw it on, like even the bars. I was eating granola bars before the podcast. All of them had peanut butter in it. Every single one of them.
It's like a requirement.
Yes, it is standard. Next question. How did you get into fitness? Like, what was your step into the fitness world?
So I grew up actually dancing and doing gymnastics since the age of 3. I started dance when I was 3 years old, and then gymnastics I started when I was 7. And I loved it. I absolutely adored both sports. Gymnastics, I would say I was able to progress a little bit quicker, and in gymnastics you do have to be conditioned. So you have about an hour conditioning every day. Instead of using gym equipment, though, we use, gym equipment, but like gymnastics center equipment, like uneven bars, the vault, the floor. You're doing your push-ups, you're doing your pull-ups. So that was kind of my basis, I would say. But when I entered high school, it was the battle between dance and gymnastics. And my heartstrings pulled for dance. And in that transition, I lost a whole sport, and my body was changing as I was growing older. And I was noticing I was fluctuating in my weight. I was getting a little unhappy, and I was like, what's going on? Aren't people just skinny? I didn't understand what was happening. And my mom was such a great encouragement in saying, if this is something you are struggling with, how about we take a step back and see what we can do? So we started focusing on nutrition and fitness in the aspect of kind of a more, I don't want to say mature, but that is when you're entering the gym, an actual gym space where you got the barbells, you got the weights, the weight floor, treadmills. So through that transition, I started discovering the gym. I was kind of going with my dad, discovering what working out as an older person without the access to a gymnastics center looked like. So I started there, and I was so blessed to be able to get a contract pretty quick out of high school as a dancer, tumbler, and an aerialist. Now, what comes with aerial work is you have to be very strong as well. So they have an hour of conditioning, and I worked for Royal Caribbean, and they have this pattern of you wake up early in the morning as an aerialist, you go to their studios, you have an hour of conditioning, you're literally running around their building like for a mile's worth. They have a small gym center in there, and then you do all your aerial type of conditioning where we have like this big hoop. It is an aerial.
Like the circus hoop?
Yes, yes,
What?
yeah, sort of like that. So on that, we would do like pull-ups and what we call bluebirds, where you do like a pullover through it. You had to do leg lifts. You had to climb the rope without your legs. It was just a lot of conditioning there as well. So for me to be able to accomplish that and not just show up and get strong, you have to be strong before you go. You actually have to send an audition video. So it was just my experience actually through what I did so young and wanted to do as I was older that helped develop this mindset of being healthy, not only through just doing it for the sake of what I enjoyed, but doing it for my own benefit as well, making sure my body was in tip-top shape for life itself.
Wow, that's interesting how you like were able to understand what you were missing, and then you just knew, just jumped straight into
I
it.
will say that is an interesting story. It did not click for me at first. I think my mom saw that I was struggling, and I wasn't quite grasping why I was gaining this weight. I don't want to say by any means super large or anything. I just didn't understand that I went from this little stick figurine almost, and I started becoming a woman, and that is so natural, and that's what happens. But I was losing that strength and everything I got from gymnastics. So when she initially tried to help me, I dug my heels in so hard. I don't know if you or anyone listening has ever had a parent be their coach, but I don't know what rebellion wants to come out during that, but you're like, no, I'm going to do it my way. And I was actually watching a movie called A Chorus Line, which is a musical. It's a musical production, and it's been on Broadway and whatnot. And it's about dancers trying to get a dance gig. And one of the characters in it is trying to get her dance job, and the auditioner says, if you weren't a dancer, what would you do? And she goes, well, I would eat whatever I want, because then I wouldn't have to worry about my weight. And something went off in me that I thought, oh, I'm not the only person that has to think about what I put in my body. I couldn't believe it. So from this movie, from this musical, so coincidentally, the field I wanted to be in, I learned that lesson from just watching this movie. And in that moment, that's when the light bulb went out. And that's when I was like, oh, I have to help myself. And in order to do that, I have to be mindful. I have to think about this. And not so much focus on restriction, but see the liberties I would get from giving my body the correct nutrition, the correct new fitness, and moving forward with that.
Understood. Did that take like a certain amount of discipline for you to like once you figure it out, now you're maintaining that every single day, like watching your nutrition?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I will say that also didn't happen all at once. The epiphany might have been there, but learning how to get from point A to point Z, I would say I'm still going. I'm still somewhere in the middle of that alphabet trying to figure it out, but I have gotten to a point that it doesn't quite scare me anymore, or I don't feel like it's all or nothing. It is day by day, taking those small individualized steps and understanding that if a day doesn't go the way you planned, you still got 364 that year. We got it, baby. You just keep going and going, trying your best.
Wow, that reminds me literally of what we're doing right now. Like you got that experience. It might have been from a play, but it was still from an external thing. You got that courage, knowing you weren't alone in that struggle, even though it was a musical. You were able to see, I'm not the only one that suffers with nutrition. I just got to realign my discipline with my goals.
Yes.
So like that was amazing to see and to hear. Wow. So, sorry, I'm getting stuck here, taking everything in. What would you say to someone that's thinking about getting into dance then? Like that wants to take that next step. What would you recommend them do? They're wanting to start dance.
Start dance?
Yes.
Oh, absolutely. Well, first off, just give a little research, see what kind of dance studios are around. There's a lot of little mom and pop dance studios, especially even in the little town that I grew up in. There was one primary dance studio. And without ever going in or anything, you wouldn't know that it was actually a studio that 3 of her daughters were dancers as well, and one became a rockette, and another one went to be on Broadway. And it's just crazy to think that I am from Versailles, Kentucky, that this random little town in Kentucky could produce such talent. But I think that is what's so exciting about small towns. Sometimes we look down on them, we think, oh, well, they're not the big city. And I was even talking to a hairstylist the other day that just because it's a small town, maybe a small name, it doesn't mean that they don't have high quality. And because of that high quality, it does come with a price, but you're going to get the results you're looking for. So I was fortunate to find a studio in that regards, and that's what I would encourage someone to do. Just look for that studio, go take a class, see what they have to offer, see if it's a place that feels kind of like home for you, and then just run with it, enjoy it, express yourself, and see what style works best for you, because that's also another thing. I love musical theater. That is tap, that is jazz, that is acting, that is singing. But I also have friends that are so talented in ballet and that beautiful classical style, or modern, which is very individualistic, that it has expressions. It's kind of abstract dance in a way. So finding out what best fits you and then just going with that, or challenging yourself if you would like with different styles. It's endless opportunity.
Okay. So would you then recommend them maybe trying different ones, or should they know what they want to get into before they go into dance?
I would definitely suggest trying different ones, dabbling in it, because I don't think you'll really know where you're able to blossom without that opportunity. But also you want to feed your soul. So what is it that makes you happy to do, and what gives you joy in expressing through that certain art form? Are you going into it to pursue it as a career? If so, you may want to look into what is available in those routes that you're choosing in that modern or that ballet or that musical theater. If you're going into it for pure enjoyment, that's where I say do whatever you want. Just live your best life and let yourself be expressed in any sort of capacity. Some studios as well have certain highlights or things they're strong in. My studio was very strong in tap and musical theater. So I was also very young when I started, so I think that was just kind of something I fell into and really came to enjoy. But I think every dancer is able to relate or understand different sorts of styles and be able to give you at least a foundation to know what to build upon and where to look moving forward.
Okay. I think that's a very common thing I think people should do more often, is to trying them without, you don't have to fully commit to one thing. Like, it's dance, but there are different sectors of dance. Like,
Yes.
I feel like dance is also a different sector of fitness. Like, there's subcategories for subcategories
Yes.
in each of those, and even within those, like, I'm not familiar what a rocket is. With rocket and Broadway, what are the differences between those two?
For a rockette and
A
Broadway,
rocket. I'm
yes.
so sorry.
So the rockettes are beautiful tall girls who do those eye-high kicks. So they do it at Rockefeller Center. They have the Christmas
Oh.
Spectacular. So that is one area of dance you could do, but for Broadway, you're going to have those musicals like Waitress, Hamilton, The Lion King, Wicked. So there's that avenue, but I think what's so cool about dance too is, like you said, there's so many opportunities. I was able to have the opportunity to dance on cruise ships. I had the opportunity to dance in a national tour. I had the opportunity to dance at theme parks. I've had the opportunity to dance in musicals, both professionally and community theater. Maybe performance doesn't have to be the all and end all. I've also choreographed musicals. So there's also different avenues to be involved and love dance without having to do what I think you just think a dancer does. Oh, they do ballroom or they dance on a stage. There's so much. There's so much. You could be in Disney parades. There's just so much opportunity within that little nugget. Just like you said, just like in fitness, there's so many other little avenues, little gemstones in there. You just have to find what works for you and what keeps you motivated.
Wow. That was a lot. Wow, I like that. I didn't realize like how different that I feel like I've known subconsciously, like, oh yeah, I've heard like Disney parades or Macy's Day Parade, different things like that, and then different musicals going or Royal Caribbean or going like these even small small dance shows. I'm like, okay, like I know them. I don't know them as opportunities for dancers. I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
all right, yeah, go salsa or something like that. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, understood. My next question then, with knowing, we're gonna backtrack it a little bit. With knowing what you've done in your past now, and knowing how you got there, I want to dive back into what we said in the intro. You have moved 18 different times in the past. You're 18 since you were 18. How old are you
Yes,
now?
I'm 26.
26. So in the past 8 years.
Yes.
How have you moved so many times? Where all have you been for one, and then why?
Yes, I have moved so fortunately for opportunity. And most of my moves weren't something even exactly on my own expense.
I'll have you scoot this a little closer. No, to the mic if you want to. Mm-hmm.
So I have lived in Kentucky, Florida, in international waters, Ohio, Kansas City, and New York. Those have been the primary places I have lived. I have moved so much primarily because of dance. I lived in Florida / international waters for 3 years with Royal Caribbean. And then when I moved back home, I did professional theater in Cincinnati, Ohio. After Cincinnati, Ohio, I moved to Indiana to perform there professionally. And then I moved to Kansas City to perform there professionally. Then I moved to New York City, where I really wanted to broaden my dance repertoire, really challenge myself, see what auditions, endure what they call audition season, which is just incredible. So in New York, there is an audition season. It happens, of course, during like the coldest months, January up to May timeframe. Call us crazy. We do get up about 3 or 4 a.m. We will take a train into the city to get our names signed up on a list around 4 or 5 a.m. Some people even just camp out so that you will be seen for that audition happening not until 9 or 10 a.m. So we will stand out in our coats, shivering away, so that we could hopefully be seen for a company to be in a show that we may or may not even want to be in, but we would love the dance opportunity. So we do that for a couple of months. Life is pretty crazy. You go into that audition, and dance is just crazy. It's crazy. They could look at your headshot and say, no, we don't think so. So you just stood out there from 4 a.m. till 10 a.m. Maybe you might even not be seen till 12 p.m. And they would let you know your type wasn't what they were looking for. And then you're just like, okay, I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me. It could be your hair color. It could be your height. It could be who you know on your resume. It could be your work experience. It could be your eye color. It could be, oh, we don't think she's going to fit in our costumes. It's just an endless amount of list of things. I've kind of strayed away from the question of moving. But anyways, so I moved to New York, and after I lived in Washington Heights for a few months, my best friend's lease was coming up to an end. She had actually made it up to New York a couple years before me, and we ended up moving in together.
You all dance together?
We sure did. We grew up dancing together, so we got deep roots. She has an incredible story as well. She now owns a bakery called Kristen's Creations in Versailles, Kentucky. So we both stayed up in New York until about COVID timeframe. We both came home for a while, and then I went back to New York, and she was able to stay here and keep growing her business. And when I went back to New York, dance was pretty much put on hold for a while, and I was diving deeper into retail. And unfortunately, things weren't getting much better. So I knew within my heart, I think my time in New York for the time being was complete, that I had finished that chapter for now. Who knows, there might just be a bookmark there. And I decided to come home, and I've been blessed in that regards as well, because here I am talking to you. I'm able to share my story because of it.
Heck yeah. Wow. With hearing that and how you've moved and how you traveled, you are so like bright, and like your energy is always so up that like I want to know, I know other people want to know, like, what were your biggest influences in your life, whether that be people or experiences, because not everyone's always as up and so optimistic about getting denied for different shows, multiple. You said I don't know how many times it's happened to you, but you still keep going. You have that. All right, I'm just gonna take that next step. Like, who are some of the biggest influences in your life that made you who you are today?
I have to first and foremost say that my faith is my primary driver.
Mm-hmm.
I believe in God with all my heart, and I put my faith in Him, and what He has done for me and the goodnesses He has provided is something is undeniable. So first and foremost, God. He is my biggest inspiration, and I've been so grateful to grow up in a home that helped guide me in that direction but not force it down my throat. So I was able to develop my relationship with Him on my own. And from that, my parents. So I have 4 older brothers, and my parents, incredible. Incredible how they raised us. All of them we were all homeschooled at first, actually. Then when we got to high school, we went to public school. Whoa.
Big jump.
I learned some things I had no idea about. And then we went to college. And I say we because that's the whole pattern my family did. And when it came to me, I told them senior year, maybe even junior year of high school, I'm going to dance professionally. That's what I'm going to do. I don't want to go to college. And my dad, an engineer, said, excuse me? You have a scholarship. I think we're going to use that. And I was like, okay. So I did go for a year at the University of Kentucky. And in that year, I went 2 days a week, like 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. And the other days, I would audition and dance and keep up on that talent. And throughout that year, it was amazing. Not that my parents weren't supportive of me by any means. They always wanted me to follow my dreams. But in that year, they really pushed me for it. My mom would say, Julie, I found this audition. How about we go to it? My dad was like, you're doing a great job in pursuing your passion. I'm proud of you, while you're still being able to pursue and show that school is important and is still a priority for you. So I did finish that year with a 4.0, made it on the dean's list, and ended up booking Royal Caribbean on my mother's birthday. Like I said, God was just so good, because that year finished up. I was able to finish my full year of school, and then I started my contract that June, I do believe. So school finished in May, and then I started my contract in June. So my parents, big supporters, believe in me like nobody I've ever met. And every time I came to them concerned or down or like, I don't know what I'm doing, they're like, you can do this. Take a breath. And you went up there for a reason, and you're going to do it. We believe in you. You've got this. So their encouragement and my best friend's encouragement, Kristen, because she was my partner in crime up there. She knew the ropes of New York, and she was going through kind of like what you said in the beginning and what your podcast is all about. She was going through what I was going through. She was dealing with the same rejection I was dealing with. And we were still following that dream. And because we had each other and we live in this dance community, we all pushed each other to keep going, because we all knew what it felt like to be rejected. But it was always so sweet when someone finally got the contract. Even if it wasn't your own, you were like, yes, it works. So knowing that one day we were going to feel that way, whether it be through getting a contract or being able to master a certain dance class or get noticed by a certain person in the dance industry, it was just those little victories, that little taste of I did it, that keeps you going.
Whoa. The discipline that you'd have to maintain that 4.0 for the entire year and then audition every other day of the week for something you just wholeheartedly wanted to do and just felt like what God has called you to do. Why do you feel like that's what God has called you to do? Like, how did you know this is what He wants me to do? Like, this is what I'm going to do? Like,
The desire was there, and it was undeniable. And I feel like every aspect in life, there is people hurting and in need. And I just felt called to dance. I felt called to be in that world where there is such toxicity in that place. If it was body image, if it's competitiveness, if it's drug use, it's just an endless list of things that people battle in that world. And we're performers, so we put on a pretty face. We're able to hide it so easily. And more so because we're so flamboyant and outgoing, and we want to have a party every night, and we just mask what we're really dealing with so deep down. And I just wanted to love those people. I just wanted to, beyond performing, get to have those relationships. But as well, this definitely was kind of the last thing I needed to know that I wanted to dance professionally. I participated in something called Distinguished Young Women in High School, and I won it for my county, so I went on to the state level, and I performed a solo to the musical Cats. And after I finished that solo and I came off stage and it was rewards time and awards time, or rewards, I guess you got rewarded to performing, two little girls came up to me and they wanted a picture with me because they thought I was just so cool, and they inspired them to want to dance and perform. And that moment warmed my heart so much that I knew in that moment, not only did I want to dance, but I wanted to do family-friendly entertainment. And like I said, God just provided endless ways. Cruise ships is family-friendly for the most part, and theme parks family-friendly, and the musicals I've done family-friendly. And the national tour was definitely encouraged more towards kids. So I've seen too many things lay out coincidentally for it to not be from Him. And I'm just so grateful for that.
That is absolutely amazing. That is so hard to find, because we don't know what it looks like. We don't know what it sounds like when He is telling us to do something. Like, for people listening, this story is going to be like a light or a path. For people listening, this story is going to be clues to be able to look out for things in your life that you could be doing that God is setting in your path to be able to do, to be able to take that next step, to be able to pursue it long term in a bigger picture so you can give more. Wow. This is an absolutely amazing podcast episode. Julie, thank you so much so far. Like, it's not even over yet. Wow. Okay. Next question. We'll get to another one. Man. So knowing where you are, where you've been, where do you plan on going now in the fitness industry, or with Coach Julie? Do you have a plan? Like, let us know.
I'm going to be completely honest with you. I do not. I have the plan of growing and learning as much as possible. And wherever I can have that opportunity, I'm going to take. I'm going to see that door and I'm going to walk through it. And I think that's what's so exciting about life. And the more I talk to people, even my brothers who are very successful in my eyes, 10 years older than me, they're so successful. I have someone in banking, an engineer, someone in insurance, actually another one that's been through the sports program and is also an executive pastor, and just looking to them and being like, I don't think I know what I'm doing. What am I supposed to be doing? And they look right back at me and they go, we don't know. We don't know what we're doing either. And I'm like, but you have this career, you have this paycheck, you have this house, but everyone's still trying to figure it out. And that is so encouraging to me. But to answer your question in regards to Coach Julie is, again, just looking for those opportunities for growth. I do love nutrition, so I would love to marry this passion and this opportunity I've had with fitness with that nutrition love and kind of mesh them together. I actually have, not to plug here, but a Instagram called The Average Joe, and a passion I really have is helping the average Joe. You're just a person that wants to get a little healthier so that they can live life as long as possible to enjoy the people they love. They don't need to be a bodybuilder. They don't need to be a person who is just eating beef and rice every day. They just want to have a healthier habit to be able to be healthy enough for that longevity. And that is what I want to help out with, making those small changes so that we can be successful in accomplishing that. So I believe at this moment that is what I'm working towards, because I think no matter what, it is important to have a goal to work towards, even if that changes. We constantly need to be making sure we're keeping motivated and inspired. And a previous coach of mine from the New York world said the best way to do that is to keep learning. And I've never forgotten that. If that's CEUs with NASM, or if that's taken an online course with Orangetheory. I think even going to meetings in the workplace, even though we don't want to, we're going to get an outside perspective that's going to make us think, oh, well, that's something I could think about and work on and work towards. So just having those small goals in the meantime, and I'd love to come back one day and let you know how that ended up.
Yes, I would love to have you back. Oh my goodness. Yeah, that this has been a very enlightening just from like me personally hearing about you. And I know it's gonna other people are gonna be amazed by it too, but like that's really not everybody comes on the podcast really making God their number one. Not that it should be for everybody. Everybody chooses their own way of delivering their message or why they do things, but like I like the openness that you have with it. Um, wow. I think one of the last questions that we have is going to be, what advice would you give someone wanting to, on one side, that are wanting to start their fitness journey, and on the other side, start their fitness career?
I love this question. And kind of taking it back to my previous talk about the average Joe, I
Mhm.
think a way to start your fitness journey is to start. And I know that sounds cliche, but it's just deciding one day, you know what? I'm going to take 10 minutes every day and walk around my neighborhood. 10 minutes. That's all you got to do. Imagine the amount of TikToks you're going to miss. I'm sorry, but you can even have your phone out. Just take that walk around the block. I think just having that starting point, and you might think, oh, walking doesn't do much. It does. It's actually a great way to start your cardio journey, great way to get that blood circulation, getting that body movement, getting those muscles a little bit warm. So having that starting point and then building from there, taking it one step at a time. And even talking earlier in this podcast, don't overwhelm yourself. Do take it one day at a time, and you're going to see that change over the year. Give yourself that grace period. Too many times we're looking for a quick fix, that 2-week transformation. And I'm going to tell you, it's going to be miserable if you do that. You're going to starve yourself, and you're going to work your body way too much, and it's going to get exhausted, and it's probably going to get injured. So give yourself that grace. Give yourself maybe a month of walking those 10 minutes and see how you feel differently first. Reflect on yourself. How is your breathing? How is your stamina? Let's look at those things first, and then see the body changes, because those will come. Those will come. So I would say small steps and then building upon that. Maybe seeking out a personal trainer, seeking out a boutique fitness studio. I know that sounds fancy as well, because group fitness, though, I feel like is such an easier way to get started. Also, you're going to have that direction of a coach, so you don't have to think about it, and you're going to learn so much, because they're going to be able to show you the exercises that you can do both in and outside the studio. So either a personal trainer, maybe a boutique fitness, but sometimes if you just hit up the gym randomly, it's going to be a little bit more challenging, because you might not know how to navigate that space yet, and that's okay. It's completely fine to do that, but I find success comes more often when you have that community built around you. So finding that community, small steps. In regards to your fitness journey, wow, where to even begin? I think start with what you are passionate about. Did you grow up doing a certain sport in high school? Did you grow up running outside? Did you grow up riding the bike? All of those things have a core to it, and finding out what your best fit is, kind of like how I was talking with dancing, and running from there. I do believe that it is good to branch out and try things you're uncomfortable with, and I encourage that. But if you're looking to be confident while starting, start somewhere you do have confidence in. And if that's nowhere, feel free to start with your personal training certification. You can do it through multiple companies now. There's a lot of wonderful, I'm trying to think of the word, but
Accredited.
accredited. Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. Institutions and whatnot that you can get that learning from. And once you have that under your belt, you're going to have that foundation to be able to build upon and maybe dive into personal training. But you can do, like I said, even for the fitness aspect, You can look into studios to get started with. I didn't really know where to start, and I got my personal training certification. I was a front desk person up in New York for a fitness studio, and through that company, I had a discount with NASM to get my personal training. So I was like, why not? So I got my personal training certification and my nutrition certification through this company. They are a fabulous company. They're called Fitting Room. They've treated me so well, and I miss them dearly. But because of them, I got my foundation to be able to come back home and become an Orangetheory coach who and what I thoroughly enjoy now. And because of that, I now feel like I have a better understanding of the fitness world and can start branching out in regards to even my nutrition and building even a platform of my own. So just like I said with fitness, with becoming a fitness instructor as well, just start somewhere and look for those opportunities to first learn. And networking, my dad always said, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So just finding those people and getting plugged in.
Wow, I can't wait to re-listen to this again. There's so much good wisdom and passion in your voice in this entire conversation. Like, I'm so excited to listen to this again. Thank you, Julie. This has been good
Thank you.
to see, and also to see you go from where you started at Orangetheory to where you are now. You've grown so much, and now I got to hear a little bit more about you. I would be like really honored to have you back on here in the near future to tell another story. That would be blast. Great. And to give you to give everybody a recap of like where you're at now, because we don't know where you're going to be. Maybe 6 months. In the ocean. Yeah, yeah, could be.
Just kidding.
But yeah, you know how we have to finish it. You may not know exactly, but you're about to find out. So how we finish this it's called the Yeah Coach podcast. And it's actually an acronym because, like I said before, the Bill Nye the Science Guy, I always no matter, he says everyone you meet knows something you don't. With that, I created the acronym for Yeah Coach. Actually, it's an acronym. It's YEA without the H and then coach. It stands for your every action consists of attitudes changing here. It's about you being in the moment, you changing how you see a situation, and it changes the outcome for that situation. And right now, like you say, yeah, coach, to like encourage action, you say if you just beat someone in Madden or you talk to a girl you're uncomfortable talking to, like to push you outside and take that next step. So we have to end it with a big, loud yeah, coach at the end of every podcast. You ready?
Yes.
All right, so you can stand back from the mic a little bit because we're going to get a little loud. We don't want to bust the mic, but on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, Coach! And that wraps up that episode of the Yeah, Coach podcast. We'll see y'all next time. Thank you all for listening. Have a good one.